Well, hello. This is Carissa from Before You Renovate. I'm so excited to be recording our first episode of Before You Renovate podcast. And it's been a dream of mine for a while to start this podcast and start building these workshops after being in this industry for so many years and just seeing gaps everywhere that need to be filled across different types of clients, different budgets, different areas of Australia. So I'm very, very honoured and blessed that the moment has come that I'm able to get this expertise across to more people and have the time to sit down and go through my passion. So today we're going to start super basics from the very absolutely beginning. And today's all about understanding what your property goal is. And that may be from the absolute beginning of you're young or not even young, but you've never bought a property before. I'm not even going to say young anymore because it's actually hard to buy property these days. It's changed a lot since the first property that I bought back in 2011, I think it was. 2011. We're now 2022. I remember it like the back of my hand, like it was yesterday. However, I feel like it was so long ago at the same time. And I'll give you a quick background, but it was leading up to my wedding. I was 23 and we were looking for our first house. And what was the most interesting experience was deciding what type of property we were going to buy. So it was all about, do we buy something that's already done? Do we buy something that's new? Do we buy something that's old? Do we buy something that is bigger land? Do we buy something that needs a full renovation? Do we really cap out what we can afford just to be able to get the property we want now and work harder to make more money to pay it off? Do we just tick to something absolutely basic that's within our budget? So many questions that you think about and you go through. And then we started searching for property. So which area, and at the time we bought our first property in Marriong in the Blacktown area of Sydney. And we were searching, and that was where I grew up. So it was automatic that we would go around that area because that was where we knew where our family was, where we went to school, where our friends were. So that was the start of our property journey. Deciding to then, through that process, we searched, I think, at least for 6 months for property. Every single weekend, we'd go to at least 10 open homes. And back then, not every real estate had open homes. A lot of them were private inspections. So a lot has changed even in the real estate market in that time. And I remember getting into the car of one of the agents and he drove us around to all these properties. I've not seen that happen these days, but I remember it was just us driving in his car around to properties that he'd show us one after the other to see which ones we liked. And so the amount of experience you get from being to and from open homes and comparing different styles of property is amazing. So there's a couple tips I'm going to go through as we go. First thing is, think about what your property journey looks like. Now, you may have not bought anything yet. You may be planning to buy. You may already have one property and want to buy your second. You may be in your family home and want to leverage to buy your first investment. You may already have 2 investments, 3 investments, 4 investments, multiple investments. Either way, the content and tips I'm going to bring you is going to significantly help you in either finding your first home or leveraging off your first home to purchase your second, or getting greater value in all the properties you have in your portfolio to further increase the asset wealth of all your properties to get further ahead. So that's what my kicking off point is. What does your property journey look like? What are you trying to achieve? Where do you want it to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Think about the bigger picture. I always say to all my clients, don't just think today, tomorrow, next week, next year. Think greater. When you're renovating, think, what's the big vision I want with this property? Where do I want to be in 10 years, even in my own life, regardless of the property? Where do I want my life to look like in 5 years, in 10 years? A lot of these things helps guide you into why you're buying the property, why you're doing the property up, why you're trying to get more out of it to buy the next one, or why you want to do work to sell it. I haven't even mentioned that yet. You may be looking to sell your property. So what is the bigger picture? A house is not, or I'm going to say a property because you're in a house, or a unit, but a property is not a small transaction. It's not a small item that you go, oh, I'm going to buy it and then I'm going to flick it and then whatever happens, happens. And it's a big cost. It's a big asset. It's a big transaction. It can be a big risk that will either be awesome or be not too awesome. So doing your planning and thinking about first, what are you trying to achieve? I've met people through my time who have literally